Okay, after you log in, please say hi with your real name because what is on the app is your nickname. So please put in your real name so that I know who you are. Uh, okay, I think I have met all of you. Just some friend face I did recognize. Let's test my memorize again. So Michael, yes. Michael from California, Nguyen, data engineer, now he wants to learn machine learning. Chi, he's a AI expert. Join us to make joke. Phương, she come from Hanoi. She's a kind of bioinformatics. Santos, can I call you Santos, right? We come from India. Uh, Dương, front-end engineer. Hai, lawyer. If you have problem with the law, call him. So Minh, marketer. So I know him before. He's kind of alumni of school too. And we have Khiêm, marketer, marketing guys or IT guy. And I think I don't know your name. Hoa. Okay. What is your previous job? Guys, good. Okay. Dung, she's come from Vũng Tàu and she ran a room here to join this course. Khiêm, Tú, your previous job.
Solar engineer, construction.
Solar engineer. Okay. You know about energy. Yeah. And Lan, Chi Lan, Ngọc Lan, Chi Lan. Okay. Student. Accounting. Okay. We have many different background here. Diversity is our class. So welcome to the jungle. We are all collected today to form a group. It's beautiful, but it will not be fun if I tell you you have to go through it and reach to the top of the mountain from here. It will have a lot of fun, but it's also tough sometimes. But I hope you all will feel great on the top. Yeah, you heard enough about motivation this morning, so I will skip this part. So today, so first of all, we introduce ourselves a little bit. Make sure that you know everyone or who you can get help or ask a question. And I will give you some tips. And then we will talking about some rules. Like any good organization, we need rules to follow. And then we will share about the learning techniques. It's just a small thing, but I think it can change so many things in the long term. And then I will introduce you about the learning platform that we use. And at the last, we'll talk about the concept of machine learning. We might not have enough time to talk about programming, but I can shift it to tomorrow morning. Okay. So first of all, this is the machine learning team at the school. You know Charles? We call him Uncle Charles. Even he is like 1 month older than me, but everyone call him Uncle, but call me Anh Minh. So you see the difference. Yeah, I'm Minh, an old man, just 1 month younger than Charles, Uncle Charles. Zi Khang is my second member in machine learning team. He's really good at deep learning, so you can ask him a ton of questions. His nickname is Elephant because he is so nice and soft and clear. So Tân, this handsome boy, sit over there. Yeah, yeah. I call him tender hand because if he care about you, like you will feel awesome, like you are in the good hands. Hoàng Nguyên is that guy over there. Yeah. So just go in tiger, because he is always energy. So Minh Anh, cool boy, look like a student, but he's graduate actually. Okay, so 4 of us will mainly support you in this class. I'm the instructor, and we have 3 TAs here. So each one of us can take care about like in average 4 of you. So I think this is good. Okay, we will know each other more deeper in the future, but I will share first a little bit about me. So when I was 4 years old, my father taught me how to read and write. And okay, I follow him because I'm just a kid. And I still remember the feeling when I come to the school, I know everything already. So I just sit there and sleep. And when I was 8 years old, my father said, okay, now you need to learn math, high school math. Okay, I have no idea about it. When I was 10, he taught me programming. And yeah, that's when I figured out there's something weird here. At this age, I should learn how to play, right? Not how to programming. Yeah, and I still like figure out or feeling weird that I learned a lot compared with my my friends. And yeah, I'm not willing to learn, and I always try to avoid it. But it's kind of like my destiny, because I try to avoid it again and again, but now I come back to teach about programming. I studied in Germany for 10 years, information technology, where I learned 50% about physics, automation system, and 50% is informatics. It's like how we program a automation system. Besides that, I'm a curious learner. One thing I really enjoy is learning new things. I can discuss with you in many topics, you will see later on. But one topic that I really care is what is the best way to learn? What is the best way we can absorb information, understanding new topic, learning new skill in a short amount of time? So, yeah. Okay, I have 3 tips for you. The first one is believe in yourself. So believe in yourself because you actually use only less than 7% of your brain. You heard about it? Our human brain, we are only use like less than 7%. So there are a ton of things we can do, and there are no limits, like the guy, the Kai in the movie this morning. But the first thing you need to have is believe in yourself. Believe that there are no limits. You can learn anything. It's just about how and when you master it. Okay? So first, believe in yourself. In Korea school, we have a ton of story about career changer or girl learning English and became Twitter software engineer. I personally met her in San Francisco, and I have one-on-one student. She came back from the US to visit Vietnam for 2 months and have a one-on-one session with me. And now she is a data scientist in a company in the US. So she found a new job after 3 months, came back to the US. And I only do one thing I think is most to help her is encourage her that you have nothing to lose. Just wait and keep moving forward, keep learning. You cannot lose, and someday you will find a job. And she eventually found a job after just 3 months. Amazing. Okay, be fit. So like Kai, most of the time he spends on gym. So like a professional athlete, outside when they practice, they also eat healthy food, sleep enough, and try to avoid alcohol, cigarettes, or hang out overnight. And be patient. Yeah, because the speed you learn is different between each one of you. Some of you can learn pretty fast because your background is suitable with the knowledge you learn. Or some of you is a little bit slower. You will master it at some time, but you need to aware that you will put some effort into it, and be patient. Okay, what is the 3 tips? Believe in yourself. Be fit. Yeah, you are what you eat. Right? Be fit and be patient. Okay. We have 4 rules. And the thing is, you can apply this in any angle of your life. Discipline. This is one thing I learned a lot in Germany. Discipline. Right? They all follow the rules. Another thing is consistency. So discipline and consistency. I think is 2 most important things to reach your goal, any goal in your life. If you set up a plan, you keep your discipline and consistency, you will reach the goal. And support, so we are a big group, I can say. 15 people in a class, full-time bootcamp is quite big. And I don't want to lose any one of you. So I want that we all see each other in the next 3 months. I don't want to have any dropout. But in order to do that, we need a way to collaborate. Like I said, some of you will learn faster than each other. And if you reach the goal, turn back and pull someone up. Help each other. Stay as a team. Because you might be friends through your lifetime later on. I think this is a little bit sensitive, but put your ego at home. So in a professional environment, actually, emotional is your enemy, right? If you hate someone, you cannot work with him, right? If you put your ego, protect yourself too much, you cannot work with the other. In a professional environment, there are no place for ego. One trick I can tell you, I think is very helpful. If you talk to someone that you don't like, wish her or wish him the best in your head. Wish those people all the best. Love them in your head, because it's very difficult to hate someone and wish them the best at the same time. So this is one of my tricks. I try to support everyone. I try to listen to everyone and wish them the best. Okay, so what is the 4 rules? Discipline, consistency, support, and no ego. Okay, what is the 3 tips? Believe in yourself, be patient, be fit. Okay, so what is easier to remember? The 3 tips or the 4 discipline? Discipline is always hard to remember. Any question? Are you all clear? Good. So learning techniques. What is learning techniques? It's just some small things you apply for small things, like how you take your notes, how you take notes. how you review stuff that you have learned, how you help yourself to remember it longer. Because, this is how our brain works. Our brain has a mechanism to protect us from overwhelming of information. So the more you learn, the brain tries to forget things right after a day. So there is terminology about short-term memory and long-term memory. What I've said to you today, right now, is saved in your short-term memory. You understand all, you feel like it's easy, but tomorrow it's all news for you again, or at least 60% is new again. Because in the night, the brain will figure out which is important, which is not, and it will automatically delete the thing that you feel like less important, just to protect your brain of overwhelming. And so we have some technique to tell our brain like this is important and please save it into my long-term memory. The long-term memory example, like when you learn how to ride a bike, you will never forget it. When you learn how to swim, you get it and you will never forget it. There's something is saved into your long-term memory. And so by having a good plan for repetition, we can tell our brain like, okay, please save it into my long-term memory. The keyword for repetition, I can tell you, is 1, 1, 1. You will review stuff after 1 day, 1 week, and every month. 1, 1, 1. Right? 1 day, 1 week, 1 month. You need to review the knowledge that you have learned again. Okay, so the process is first, you need to understand the topic first. We have a ton of things to learn, and some concept is pretty complicated, but try to get intuition of the topic. After you understand it, it will save into your short-term memory. And then use the remembering technique to transform it into a long-term memory in a short amount of time. So 2 keywords for remembering is active recall and spaced repetition. So the spaced repetition is the 1-1-1 technique that I have just mentioned. Active recall is simple, like having someone test you. So when you learn at school, you take some note, and when you review it, you just open your note and read it again, right? It's somehow most of the people do. Or you open your book before the exam and try to memorize all of the text inside the books, right? But research says that it's not efficient. The way you just read the knowledge or read the book is not so efficient. But if you have put yourself in a quiz with like some questions about the stuff that you have learned, your brain actually have to work on answer the questions, and somehow is the way to tell it like the answer, the knowledge inside the questions, inside the answer is important and safe in memory. Taking note is really, really important too, because like we cannot remember all the things at once. We have some place to have our notes whenever we forget things. But the technique to taking notes here is you will have 2 sorts of notes. The first one is you write down like a summary, like you did at you normally do, like just write down what you understand about the topic, so that when you reread it, you can get it. But the second source, you just write the keyword. Just write down the keyword with a question and then keywords. Example. Like this. So I use Google Sheet because you can access to this document anywhere on your device, on your MacBook, everywhere, every time. So in the left side, I will have a topic or questions. In the right side, I will have the answer. So I have the answer in the right side, but just in keyword only. Something like when I look into it, I need to remembering how it works. And I will put it into white color so that I cannot see the answer. And I will test myself, go through the topics. If I can remember it well, I put it in green here. If like 50-50, yellow. And if I cannot get it, I put it in red. So with this method, you will have a list of all the topics about the things. And you will have a color map showing what is your weakness, what kind of topic you are weak at. And you can test yourself just simple like go through this, and whenever you want to check, click on this, and the answer will be shown here. You can see it? Yeah. Just go through all of the topic and mark with the color how good you are with that topic. Okay. So this technique is have you have an overview of all of the topic, what is your weakness, and for another thing like to testing your for each topic in another way, I use Quizlet. Quizlet is a way you can go through all of the topic here or test yourself with many different ways. So you can click on Learn. And this will test you with a question, or you can click on Write, and it will require you to write exactly the answer. Okay, so that's some tool I recommend you for the learning techniques about active recall, spaced repetition. Another thing, we will have some activity in the class, like playing game, and this is our card. So you will choose some question. Every one of you will have some like 10 cards, and you will write the question here, and the answer here. And we will have a tournament. So you give the other the questions. If he can answer that, he take the card. If he cannot answer that, and you have to give them the answer. If you also cannot answer the question, then it's no point for everyone. Okay, and then his turn, back and forth. So because it's just another way we approach reviewing the question again with a fun activity and like competition. Because another thing is everyone will try to write down here the hardest question, the most difficult question, right? It's no point that you ask an easy question here. And with this method, it will be test with the most difficult question in the topic. So, but in order to synchronize all of the question and answer in the flashcard, we will build a question bank. The question bank is just the question that we all agree that is suitable and help you to review things. And we will build like a question bank. It could be like hundreds of questions. And then you choose 30 questions from it, write it down your card, and let's play. Very simple. Okay? Yeah. In the morning, I said that we have homework every day, right? And the homework is just about the question bank. So every day after the class, you need to come home and write down what you have learned today in a form of questions. Like, what is machine learning? 3 keywords. What is the regression model? 3 keywords. Just write down the keywords that you think most reflect of the answer. So, and then we will summarize all of the questions and keywords of everyone, and we will question bank from it. Okay? You are all understand why you do it, and you agree?
Great.
Okay, good. Yeah, we will have some activity just to make things not so boring. Homework presentation. So you all understand how important soft skill is, right? And so today we are evaluated not only because how good you are, but also like how good you can prove that you are good. Presentation yourself, sell yourself to the employers. Right? And that is something like learning how to swim. It's very difficult at the beginning. Totally difficult. I can share with you, like first time I teach the class, I kind of freeze here. And my voice is like, I don't have any tone in my voice. Just like that. And yeah, I'm totally stressful. But in the second time, it's much easier. The third time, it's much easier. And so right now, I can teach anytime, anywhere. Just stay in front of the class, sharing whatever I know comfortably. So it needs only practice it's not need to so many practice time. So you need to practice, but just a few times you will get it. Tournament, like I said, the playing cards game, lunch every Friday, and we also have a running club at Koro School to get you fit. You can contact the team to join that running club. I'm sorry that I cannot join because I have a little girl to take care with every morning. Okay, about the learning platform. The first thing is the learning.koroschool.vn, which is a learning portal. You can see here. We will update the content every week. So it's where you can find the resources, the slide, and reading stuff. Another resource is we use Google Colab and Google Drive. So we will have a drive. Koro School Full-Time Machine Learning. I will share with you this drive. Actually, the link of the drive is on the learning portal. Here, this Google Drive folder. This is where I share the dataset, notebook, or stuff with you. I have put here some books that I feel like very good to start with. And some cheat sheet. So everyone loves cheat sheets. They feel like they have the cheat sheet and they got it. They don't need to learn it because they have the cheat sheet. Article is some like article or some document that's very helpful. So take a look at them if you have enough time after solving the homework. Okay, for the first week, we work on Google Colab. Okay, Google Colab is an environment, use a Jupyter Notebook. It's where you can write some text and also some code and run it. We will go deeper into it later on. So GitHub. GitHub is like the Facebook of developer, where we can find a ton of material and source code of open source project. Okay, we have a chat room Discord or one-on-one section to share or ask more questions or have some inside talk or career path or something else. Okay, any questions so far?
Everything is so. You should send student.
Yeah, you will find everything in the learning portal here. It also has a link to the Google Drive folder and a link to the Discord chat room. I think HANA teams will come here this afternoon to help you to get in the learning portal. But yes, everything, you can reach everything here. And if you have trouble, call me on the Discord community chat room.
When will we get access to this?
This afternoon. So HANA teams are working on. My presentation? The slide, yeah. Here. So actually, I'm recording myself. I'm recording my screen, and I will share the video too. So if you miss the class, you might need to take 2 hours or 3 hours to look into the videos. I hope the sound quality is good enough. Yeah, but always joining the class is always the best way. First is you understand clearer, and the second is I might forget to do the screen record. So yeah. Okay. So this is another Google Sheet. I call it temporary questions. So when I talk, you might feel like uncomfortable to raise questions. So that's my experience of most of Vietnamese students. Some of you kind of shy or don't want to ask questions in the middle of the class. Then I will share you this file, and you will write your question here, like what is ML example. And in the end of the day, we will go through the list of questions together. So before you write your question, take a look at the previous one. I'm be sure that someone has the same question like you, so you just save your time and stay in the end of the class with me. Right? Okay, so we will share this link first. Can view only. Anyone who has a link can view. Yeah. I need to. Em giúp anh share. Anh không có vào được cái.
Ok, gửi qua slide. Sao không được? Anh share này, Google Drive.
Google Drive.
Cái file đấy. Cái file đấy. Cái file đấy.
File.
Cái file anh vừa share cho anh.
Ah, yes.
Mình có được không?
Yeah, sorry, somehow I cannot access to Discord here on my computer. So Minh Anh will share you the link on the forum. So let's do a quick survey here. Who has programming experience? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who know what is a sorting algorithm? 1, 2, 3. Who can implement quicksort? Quicksort. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you all know who to ask whenever you have questions about programming. Okay, who knows machine learning? 1, 2. Who understands random forest? 1. Logistic regression? 1, 2. Okay. Cool. So most of you has beginner level, and some of you know something. But okay, so for the one who knows, just feel like we have another review. At least if you can support me, thank you in advance. Okay, do you have the link on the Discord?
You say the email on Discord.
Okay, can you edit it? Just try to write something, and let's see if we can see it. On Discord comment. Okay, so you all can edit it, right? Just write your question here whenever you have, and we will go through it in the end of the day. Yeah, good question about the homework. So every day you have an assignment that makes the question and answer to put in the question bank. Answer the question, what have you learned today? Every week we will have a group project. And in some project you need to present it in front of the class. But you might need to submit it with a GitHub link or a Colab link. And we will create a Google form for you to submit your homework. Yes, sorting words by alphabet can be counted as sorting. Cool. Okay, if the question is okay, let's try to write the question right after each other. You know, to make so this is hard to read. So you know, in the end of this course, you will look at the discussion again, and you will have a lot of fun. Like how stupid I was. So let's present it a little bit nice. So that we will read it later on. Everyone will look into it. Okay, now we all understand what we're going to do in this course, the methodology, how you learn, how you save the information. Are you ready now? Okay, this is our first step. So what is machine learning? So at the beginning, when people invent computers, they realize that computers are incredibly fast and accurate. But the humans are very slow, inaccurate, but brilliant. So and then the idea comes from like we can do a combination between computer and humans to have a supercomputer or have a superhuman. Right? The combination of fast, accurate, and brilliant, not the opposite way. Right? Okay, so the idea of AI is artificial intelligence, so make a machine smart. Okay, but how? What is smart actually? So the skill that you can become as a qualified professional is like planning, right? Drawing, programming, or critical thinking, problem solving, right? Managing, all of your skill, you have it after a long time of training, learning, right? So in order to have a computer as good as a human, we need to train it. The same way like the human learn things. And we learn, as a human, we learn from experience. Good or bad also give us some lesson, right? In classical programming, the machine follow instructions. It needs to be told what to do in the next step or in the whole process. The idea of machine learning is combined between the learning from experience or the follow instruction with learning from the data. So experience can be understood like something that happened in the past. Right? We learn from something that happened in the past to be better. The machine learns from data. Data is like you can see the data. That means it's already happened, right? It's another you can think about like data is something or experience that happened in the past, and the machine learns from the past in order to predict the future. Okay, so learning from the data without any explicit instructions. We will go deeper with an example later on, but I want to mention a little bit about the history of AI or artificial intelligence. Actually, this is not a new idea. It's not a new hot trend that people just have invented. The idea of machine learning is like 7 years old. So start from the 1950s, where people invent the Alan Turing machine. He also wrote a machine test to check whether a machine is smart enough like a human. But it doesn't work. It didn't work until a few years from 2000 until here, so until the last 10 years. Why? Any idea of why machine learning didn't work? It's not enough data. And also, we don't have anything to store the data efficiently. So this is a hard drive. The capacity is 5 megabytes, and its weight was 1 ton, 1,000 kilograms, to save 5 megabytes of data in the 1956. And this cost like $35,000 for renting. It's not for buying, it's for renting. And the average income in the US from the 1958 is just like almost $5,000. So one normal people need to spend like 7 years of income to rent these things. But you can see like in 2000 we have a small SD card. The capacity is not so much bigger, but you see the size. It's just like one of the finger. And 2018, we have a 16 terabyte SSD flash of Samsung. The second reason is the computation power. This is the Turing machine in 1946, helped the Allier to solve the Japanese encryption. Yeah, Enigma. You saw that movie. And it's much faster later on, but still in 1992, we have a Intel 386. I had a time to work on this computer, and that's what like amazing fast with me that time. But it's just 25 megahertz of speed. So right now we have 2.5 gigahertz in our personal computer. It's like gigahertz, megahertz, 1,000 times or 100 times. 100 times, so 25 megahertz. And today is 2.5 gigahertz. Yeah, and it's about the data. So this is a curve describe the amount of data. So from the humans beginning of the history to 2010, we generate kind of 100 exabytes in the huge human history. All of the books, all of the song, all of the language, all of the text can summarize about 100 exabytes. And it's estimated from 2020 we have 40,000 exabytes. So it's like 400 times more than the huge human history in the last 10 years only. You know why? Why do you have so many data? Because of the internet. So today we generate data every time. Even you walk through the street, you leave the GPS data back. You're surfing internet. Everyone knows your behavior, right? One time I use my phone to search something, I will see the ad on Facebook right away, right? All of our data is now a huge amount of data, and we generate it every day, every second. And so it's come to the problem like, first is no one can handle so many data without machine to have, without a computer to have. Another thing is we have enough data to boost the deep learning algorithm or machine learning algorithm. And so from about 2006, there are a lot of achievement from the machine learning algorithm and deep learning, so that people like anyone talk about it. Okay, so what kind of application, machine learning application that impress you? Can you give some examples? Like you are impressed by any kind of application using machine learning? Face recognition. Anything else? Michael, what is the first time you see or you have seen a machine learning application?
I saw it twice when Gary Kasparov first beat, I think
Deep Blue, yeah.
But then he lost the second time against Deep Blue too. And like that was pretty impressive.
Yeah. So Deep Blue, so it's used a reinforcement learning technique. So basically IBM or Deep Blue is from IBM, right? And Google developed AlphaGo to beat the human in the Go chess. And the way they want to do is, so you know that machine learn from the radar, right? So the machine can learn from the hundreds or thousands of games of the human to learn how to play. But the goal is to beat the human. So to beat the human, it cannot learn from the human play. So it let the machine play with themselves, million and million of games, to figure out the better strategy to reach the goal that winning your human. Okay, so this is 5 overview steps of any machine learning project, and you will go through it many times later on. But the first step is how to get the data. How to get the data. So most of the time, the data is saved in a database, relational database or NoSQL. But sometimes you need to get the data from the internet. Or, okay, so get the data is the first step. And then the data is very messy, so we need to clean it. There are one sentence is garbage in, garbage out. So you feed your machine with data, so you don't want to feed it with garbage, because you will have a garbage model. Okay, so it's simple like we feed, so keep your model fit by giving it clean data. And then you will train your model with the data, test the data, test your model, and improve it. So 3, 4, and 5th steps, it's like you will go through it again and again. But most of the time, you will spend on the first 2 steps, get the data and clean it. So once you have a clean data, the last 3 steps is like 20% of your project. Only.
What do you make clean data?
Clean data, I mean, okay, example like the date format is very annoying. Someone can write year, month, day. Someone can put in day, month, year. It's with a different format. Right? You need to synchronize all of that in one format, example. Or the people name, someone write all in capitalized, uppercase. Someone like just only capitalize the first letter. Someone write only lowercase. So you need to, that again, synchronize it all.
So we need to standardize data.
Standardize the data. Another thing is missing data. How you handle missing data. Yeah. Okay. So basically, the machine can understand only numbers. So before you feed in the model, you need to transform your data into numbers. So text into number, image into numbers, everything must be numbers before you train your algorithm. Because most of the machine learning algorithm is based on math. And it applies some calculation operations between the number to get the result. Intuitively, you can think about machine learning model is the method to figure out the pattern of the data. The pattern of the data. The model is a simple description of the reality. Just keep that in mind for first. Okay. Now, okay, let's look at our questions. Best sorting algorithm, sorting word, book, which I should start with. Okay, I will set this question in the end. Okay, so now make sure that everyone can access to this link or this. So Mingan, can you help me share the links to the Google Drive on the Discord? Okay, when you click on the link to the Google Drive, you might see here is share with me or share to me. Please click on this here and move to my drive. So you need to move, add to my drive. Yeah, you need to add this folder to your drive because sometimes we will connect to this folder to get the data. So please click on save or add it to my drive. And if you see my drive here, then you are fine. Okay, the next step is click on week 1, Monday. You will see this file, ml1-1. What is ml? Double click on it and click open with the collaboratory.
Sorry.
Uh, Okay, so this is Google Colab, and you will spend a lot of time on it. So I will code live in this file, and if you refresh the file, you will get my code. Okay, example like hi. Now let's refresh the file, and you will see this line. You get it? Okay, so you don't have to type after me. Don't do it. So just listen to me, follow me, understand the concept, and at the end, refresh to get my code. Okay? If you want to play with it by yourself, click on File and save a copy in your drive. Then open your drive. You will find a Colab Notebooks folder here. And the file will be saved in your Colab Notebooks folder. It's your own file. You can play with it. But keep this link to get my code. Okay? So again, click on File, save a copy in Drive to have your own version, and you can run it by yourself. And keep the first link on your browser to get my code. Anyone need help? Raise your hand. not yet.
Okay.
Okay, shall we? Are you okay? Okay. Good. So the first is the definition again about machine learning, which is actually pretty good on Wikipedia. So machine learning is a scientific study of algorithms and statistical models that computer systems use in order to perform specific tasks effectively without using explicit instructions. So this is what we have mentioned. Basically find the patterns and inference instead of explicit instructions. So machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence. So sometimes people use it interchangeably like ML or AI. Now we know that machine learning is a subset of AI and its method to have a machine to learn to reach the AI goal. So most of them is built on a mathematical model. So that's why you need to understand Math 2 in this course. And based on a sample data, as known as training data, in order to make prediction or decision. Okay, so that's about the definition. Now we will walk through an example. And let's see how a machine learning model works to predict the future based on the data. And yeah, I think example is the only way to understand things. Okay, the first part is a little bit about this Jupyter Notebook environment. There are two kinds of cells. When you hold your mouse here, you can see there are code cell or text cell. For the text cell, is example like this. When you double click on it, you will see it is written in Markdown language. And we will practice this later on, but Markdown language is the way you can write a nice document based on just some simple syntax. For the code cell, actually you are writing Python code. And you can click on this button to run the code. Okay, let me add a code cell here, and I say print hello world. And I click on run it. It will connect to the Google Colab on cloud. And after finishing connecting, it will run the code here and show me the result right after the cell. Hello world here. Okay, so there are two types of cells. The text cell is where you write document. The code cell is where you write Python code. And you can see the result right after the cell. Okay. To run the cell, you can click on this, or Shift Enter is the short key to run the cell. Okay. So the first step is you will learn this one by one later on, but I will import some libraries, Python libraries, to work on machine learning. It's my first step, to import pandas, numpy, matplotlib, seaborn. So to help me to have some tools to work on the data. Okay. So in this example, I want to generate some data, fake data. It's about the score of a student in a Vietnamese exam. So in Vietnamese exam, we have a score between 0 to 10. And in between 1 and 2, we will have 1,25, 1,5, 1,75, and 2, right? Okay, so in order to generate that sample, so first is I define a variable how many sample I want. So in this case, I define 5, and the result I will have 5 scores of the exam. Okay, you can see that the form of the score is only 0.25, 0.5, or 0.75. And the way I did it is I used the function of numpy to generate a random number between 10 to 40. And I divide it by 4. So with this method, I can generate only the score that I want. So example, 3.75 times 4 is 14, right? 15. Okay, so the way of this function works, it generates a random number between a range from 10 to 40. And how can I generate this comma? I need to pick a random number from 10 to 40 and divide by 4 to get the format that I want. Okay, what this line means. And if the sample less than 10, I will print the result out of the screen to check. So if I have 200 sample here, I don't want to print it out here because it's too long, right? So I set up like if the sample less than 10, I print it out. Okay, in this case, it's only 5, and I can check. Okay, it works, right? So this code works. I have the format of the score I want. Another thing is the random seed here. So if you run this again, you will see the result is the same, right? Run again, the result is the same. You might ask, like, why? I pick random number in this range, divide by 4, but why every time I run, I have different, I should have different results, right? So because of the seed here, this function helped me to have the same result of the random function. Because if you want to analyze or evaluate a model, you want to evaluate it in the same data, right? If you evaluate a model in different data, you cannot conclude anything. So that's how is the meaning of the random seed. If I comment it out, if I take it away, every time I run this, I will have different result. You can see? Yeah. So random seed 1 is, the meaning of it is fix the result of the random function I generate the data. So now every time, even when you run it on your computer, you will have the same result as mine. So that is how you can build the model on the same data. Okay? Yeah. So now I will generate 200 sample, 200 score of the exam 1. What will I see here? Nothing, because now the sample is 200, and this condition is false. So nothing will be shown here. Okay, so now we have a list of 200 scores in the exam. The next thing I want to generate is the learning hours. How many times the students spend to learn the exam. Okay, so let's say I will put it back to 5 and see here. Then we will see another 5 values for the 5 scores here. So with this, we can say like the first student spent more than 34 hours and get the result of 3.75. The last, okay, this student spent 56 hours and have the score here, 5.5, which is the best one because he spent the most time. Makes sense, right? So this is a function to generate the learning hours. It's a linear function, so you don't have to understand this at this moment. You only need to understand, okay, this is clear for you now, right? It's the same with this code. Okay, now you only you don't have to dive into this right now. All you need to do to think about is, okay, we have the learning hours correlated with the result in the exam. Okay. Now I will turn it back to 200.
Sorry to interrupt. Could you please explain me the second one?
The sixth is on
The random.
this one.
C. You don't understand the random C.
Maybe you get run the example if I want to get example is 6.
You mean the seat is 6?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, very good question. I want this, because you can play with it, and we all see the result. 6 and 5. When you change the seat, you have different result. Only when you and I use the same seat, we will have the same result.
But what is it actually? Is it a function or something? Is it a particular reason? Random dot C. What is it?
Where is this? It's in the NumPy libraries. We learn NumPy in Thursday. So, okay, you can see here my random function is from NP, right? NP is NumPy, is a library to help me to generate the random number. And NP random seed here is the same library, right? So this seed here is kind of config, so that every time I call the random number, I have the same result. Okay, you just need to understand that is how it works. You don't need to dive deeper in like how the seed affects the result. You only need okay, if we have the same seed, we will have the same result. Makes sense, right?
Actually, the seed is not actually truly random. It's not truly random because you have the same seed and you have the same result. So it's not really random.
It's random within the C.
It's random in the way it's picked the data, but you can say like it's picked the data at the same way in different machine. It's still random, but the way it picked the data randomly is the same on your machine and on my machine.
But the same result on the your PC.
Yeah. If you run the code on your computer, change the, you will have the same result with me.
It's what I think. If you have the same, it's what I think. You go to the same.
And then run again.
You see the same people with that.
Okay, now I will change this to 200. The next step is now I have a list of 200 scores in the exam 1 and a list of learning hours that the students spend to learn to get the result. Now, next step is I create a tabular data or a table that contains 2 lists that I have just generated. Okay, and this is the way you generate a data frame. We use pandas, which we will learn in Thursday. But so we have 2 columns here. One is the learning hours, and the second is the exam 1, the score of the exam. And you can see like, so this is a lazy boy, and the result is not so impressive. But we also have a 50 hours spent on the exam and 6.35 score. So the head function here is simple to show me the first 10 lines of the table. So if I change it to 5, what happens? 5 row only. How about tail? Can you guess?
You say
Last 5 rows, yes. So you can see the last 5 rows here. The last index is 199. Why? Exactly. So the first index is count from 0. So that's why the last index is 199. So in Python, in all of the lists or string, the first index is always 0. Keep that in mind. Okay. How about sample 5? Can you guess? Just guess. Any idea? Yeah. Random 5 rows. So you can see the index here is just random. And every time I run it again, I have different random. Because the random function in pandas is not the random function in NumPy. So when I set the seed in NumPy, this doesn't affect the seed in pandas. Okay? So we have different libraries. So the config of NumPy doesn't affect the config of pandas. Okay, good.
So how do you twist the result, the panda library at the same time?
I will not cover it today because it doesn't make sense to, when I want to call some sample, I want to see random rows, right? I don't want to fix it in 5 rows. It doesn't make sense. Okay. So now we will visualize the data. So this function scatter will give me a scatter diagram of the data. So there are 200 data points here. In the x-axis is the learning hours, and in the y-axis is the exam scores. So the meaning of this function is you take the data in here and plot it in a diagram like this. So what can you say when you see this diagram, when you see this plot?
I think it's so linear lines, studying more points you get.
The time you spend in learning, the better score you will have, right? Yeah, exactly. So this is kind of correlation between the time you spend on learning and the result you will have. So we can say that people with had the best score spend about more than 80 hours for learning. And people with the worst score spend less than like 30 hours. Okay. Now, what would you do with this data? So, my problem of prediction is based on 200 data points like this. I want to have a model that can predict my score based on how many times I put in learning. You get it? So the problem, I raise the problem first. The problem is now I want to have a model to predict the score of a student based on how many time he spent on learning. Is it clear enough? Okay, so how can you solve it? Just like a human, how you can solve it? If you have 200 data and like this, how you solve it?
We take the input.
The input is ours.
Yeah, and then we check with the data we already have, and we guess.
Okay, that's a good method. So example, we have a input of 60 hours. Your method is we check our data, right? So for 60 hours, we have like 3 data points here. And we can average all of the data point, and we can guess like here is the result of learning 60 hours, and it's about 6.5. So we can say like, okay, if you spend 60 hours on learning, you will probably get a score of 6.5. That makes sense, right? Yeah. And how about edits? You do it again. You will check how many data points you have for edits. But what if you don't have any data point? What if I pick a very concise number like 60.123.789, blah blah blah, and there are no data point in the data match with that learning hours? What would you do?
Draw the trend line.
Yeah. So the solution is we will draw a line, a best fit line with the data, and every time we have an input, we will find the point on the line and find the matching point here and return the corresponding score. And the line, you got it? So we draw a line here, and we predict the score based on that line. Whatever you put here, I take the point on the line and find the result and return. Okay, that solves the problem, right? And it's very simple. Now I don't have to rely on the data, right? I only have a line. And in mathematics, a line is just a function of y equal a times x plus b. A formula of a function of the line. And whenever x put in, I just calculate a times x plus b and get the result. That's all. I don't need to look into the 200 data points to find the result anymore, right? Okay, so that's method called linear regressions. And the problem solves the problem to predict a numbers or regression, a number from learning 200 data point here. And the end is you will have just a line to predict the numbers, the score of the exam. So the next step is I will import the linear regression from scikit-learn, which is a popular library for machine learning algorithms. You will learn it later on. But the result is, so it's use a algorithm called gradient descent to find the best fit line here. And so, and the function of this line is actually a times x plus b, which b is called intercept, and a called coefficient. It's just a name. But those two numbers is exactly this line. It's exactly the model that we try to find. And so the meaning of this part is finding this line. And this line is defined by two numbers here. Now, whenever you come to prediction, if you have hours like I spend, so in our example, we have 60 hours spent on learning, then our model will predict based on, it should be the hours here. So our models will predict that the result is 6.5, with the same of our estimation last time, right? And so this is the model that predict, and you put in an hours. Just ignore the two square bracket here. We will explain it later on when we learn about the pandas and how the radar fit into the model. But you can see the model predict pretty good. It's like the same with our manually method, right? And it's not so magical because if you take this number times 60 and plus the intercept, you apply the function of y equal a plus times x plus b, you will have the same result. 6.522. Okay, so now our model, which is this line, can be described with two numbers, and our prediction is simple. Apply the input into the formula of our linear model and calculate the prediction of the score. That's all. So you have just understand regression problem. So based on the data, the model will find a model and use that model to predict a value. It's called regression problem. Any question?
Yeah, you said that this model uses gradient descent. I thought it uses mean square error.
Yeah, but mean square error is the metric. The metric to find the optimization.
Minimize loss function.
Yeah. The metric to define the loss function is the mean square error.
Okay.
So for anyone who, okay, I will talk a little bit about the algorithm. The mean square error is the distance between each data point here to the line vertically. But you can see here this point, the distance of this can be negative if we just use the number minus the data point. But if we square it up, we will have a positive number. And if we sum all of them and put a square, we have a mean square error. And the way they find this line is they start with a random line and calculate the mean square error and try to change the line to find best mean square error that they have. So we will go deeper into it when we learn about linear regression in detail. Okay, so now you have just learned how a machine learns from the data to predict a exact number, right? And this is called the regression problem. The next problem is called classification problem, where the output is not an exact number, but is in a set of countable class. It's called classification number. Like example, recognize a cat is a cat or dog. Recognize you pass the exam or not. Then our output is only two values, right? 1 or 0, cat or dog, right? So that's called the classification problem. It's different with the regression problem where our output is an exact number, how many score I will have, right? Okay. So the next thing I do is I generate another exam called exam 2. With this function, it's the same line of code of the previous one. But now from learning hours, exam 1, I have another exam 2 columns and another column called accepted. So the exam 2 column is generated the same way with exam 1. Only the accepted here, I set some condition that the student is accepted or passed the exam if both of the score is greater than 3 and the sum of the score is greater than 12. So if you join the test and you have one exam 9 but the second exam 2, you fail. Right? So both of the score need to be greater than 3 and the sum need to be greater than 12 in order to pass the test. So, and then I put all of them in a database data frame like this. And you can see here we have a lot of failed students. And this one, the sum of the score is more than 12. And this one also more than 12. Okay, so why do we need so complicated condition like this? Why I set up like 12 here, or why I just need to set up 12 here and ignore the first condition? What is the purpose of setting 2 conditions like this? Like both exam is to greater than 3 and sum greater than 12. What do you think?
I think to make the data more reliable, more trustworthy, because
But
sometimes.
this is a real rules in the real life, right? You will see this too, right? In real life. I mean, just a fun question of critical thinking, asking why question. Why? Why people usually set up like 2 conditions like this?
Might be run faster because it doesn't have to calculate 2 numbers.
This is not about machine learning here.
We have a limited condition or limited price for your students, so you want to solve them quickly.
Yeah, for sure, this condition is set up to evaluate the student, right? But why? Why I just need to use this condition?
What's the question again?
Why I need to set up? For example, I work at the school. We have 2 exams, and we want to accept some students, and this is the condition. So both exams need to be greater than 3, and the sum need to be greater than 12. Why I need to make it so complicated? Why I just use this condition?
To reduce labor work.
What should I? So it's about what kind of student we want to take in. This condition is all about what kind of student we want to take in, right? It's not about machine learning. Yeah? People don't think about data machine learning, ignore it. Just a real life question.
Because you want them to help on both exams.
Yeah. So the answer is I don't want to have someone who 10 score in exam 1 and 1 score in exam 2. Example, we have math and English. I don't want to have a 10 score in math but 1 score in English. I want to avoid those cases. Right? It's just a real life question, so to don't think too much, too complicated. One of the skills, like I said, critical thinking is it's a real life. Actually, we are bringing benefit or we are making value for the real life problem. So machine learning, all of them, math, it's just a tool. The question is all about the real life, real problem. Okay, now we have a 2 exams score and another column called accepted, 1 and 0. So I have just explained what is a classification problem. So can you guess what kind of problem we we have here.
So you
We-
like
What is, just guess what I'm gonna do in the next step.
So you need to study about 50 hours to pass around 50 hours.
So this now is my data, and I want to predict whether I pass or fail based on the score. With the assumption that I don't know the condition. I don't know the condition of the school. I just have the data of the previous exam of previous students who took the test. Now, yeah.
Look at the data and then in your 54 hour first fail.
Mm-hmm.
Learn more to any time learning less.
Yeah. So actually, I now I don't care about the learning hours. I just have the result of the exam, and I want to build a model to classify based on the result of 2 exams, whether I pass or fail, whether student pass or fail. So now my data is 2 exams, and my prediction is accepted or not. For example, if I put in 3 and 8, the model will predict a pass or fail. That's all. And that is called classification problem because my output, the prediction is now only 1 or 0. In the previous example, we have the output is a score, an exact number. Right? Now the output is just 1 or 0. Okay.
Can you consider logistic regression the same as classification?
Logistic regression is the same classification, using a threshold. So logistic regression return an exact number, which is between 1 and 0, 0 and 1. But if you use a threshold like 0.5 to classify the 2 class, or then we have a classification problem. So logistic regression can solve classification problem like that using a threshold.
And vice versa?
So basically, logistic regression is regression problem. It solves regression problem, but it's return a probability of each class.
Okay.
It's a little bit confused, but we also learn about logistic regression. Okay, so I use SVM, support vector machine, to solve this problem. I don't want to go right now into a complex algorithm like SVM, but the result is you can see here. I think I missed one plot here. Okay, so this is the plot of exam 1 score and exam 2 score. So this is exam 1 from 0 to 10, exam 2 from 0 to 10. And the color here is, you can guess the green or blue one is accepted, and red one is failed. So, so now what kind of model we can build, or just intuitively how we can solve the problem based on the data like this? Yeah, you saw that, right? Sorry. Okay, so basically we try to find a line that split the data into 2 parts, and then whatever point ends up above the line, we will guess that it's pass the exam, and if the point ends up below the line, we will guess that it's failed.
But on what parameters you're going to draw the line?
Yeah, and the line look like this. So we're gonna draw a line to split the space into 2 areas.
Okay, but why do you have to draw the line there itself? Because you can draw the line anywhere.
And what do you mean? Sorry, I didn't hear you well.
That's the best line that
Draw a
differentiate
line.
categorized the second
Below
circle.
2 parts. The red and above blue. true path to a real.
Okay, so
But the red dot is coming.
the red dot is the accept equals 0. Accepted equals
But
0.
there the red dot is in above the red.
Yeah, and that is also called error of the model. So if I draw a line like this, I will have a ton of errors because I misclassify those points and those points. So this line is kind of the best line with the minimum errors to classify those data points.
Still had a true exception to red.
It's minimum. It's minimum.
Yeah, I still have like, okay, so this point, in this area, I might classify not so correctly. I might misclassify some data point in near this model, but for this area or this area, my model will be pretty sure that it's accepted or not. Which makes sense because now we can see student with nice score will end up here, which is my model will classify for sure that's accepted. With the score 2, 4, and 4, it will end up here, and my model will classify it as failed. Right? Okay, so congratulations, you have just understood classification problem. Yeah, and I hope this will give you some intuition of how machine learn from the data and build a model. So now my model is a simple description or simple rules that accept student or not, right? It's a simple rules and it describes the reality. So again, the model is a simple description of the reality. So if your model is good enough, that means it's described the reality good enough. You will have a lot of accuracy. Your accuracy score is pretty high. In this case, like I will misclassify only 1 or 2. If your model is bad, you will have a ton of errors. Right? Okay. So we have just gone through the supervised learning, where we have a goal, an outcome, a label to predict, to guess, like the score in the exam or pass or fail. So this is called supervised learning. Another type of machine learning called unsupervised learning. So unsupervised learning is when we don't have the outcome. If we don't have the outcome, all you have now is the learning hour, the score in the 2 exam. So what kind of problem you can do with that? So if you don't have the outcome, you cannot build a classified model, right? So now the problem is like it's called unsupervised learning. So the keyword here is label or no label, supervised learning or unsupervised learning. So right now, 80% of the problem is based on supervised learning. I mean the application that can make money, but 25% is about unsupervised learning. The application of unsupervised learning can say like you can split the student in groups based on their scores. So example, if you don't have the color here, you have a bunch of data point here, and the only thing you can do is like you split. So this group is like best student group. This is kind of lazy student, or this kind of like best as math but weak as English. This is opposite way, good English but bad math. So with unsupervised learning, the most popular application is clustering. So you split students or data points in many groups. Yeah, and I have just covered mainly about machine learning, and we understand supervised learning, unsupervised learning. In supervised learning, we understand what is regression problem and what is classification problem. Any questions? So let's discuss. Okay. Okay, so let's try a test of the model. So if I have a score like 10, let's say 9 and 3. 3.9 or 3.5. Then the model will predict that it's not accepted. So 9 and 3.5 is this point, and it's not accepted. It's okay with the real rules we have above, right? So if I change this to 3.5, so based on our rules, this student should be accepted. It's 1. So what is the extremely case, like 10 and 1? Yeah, 1. So it's predict 0, which is correct. How about 2? So based on the data, the condition is less or equal to is accepted. So you can see this is a miss. This is an error. Because in this area is very sensitive. If I change this to 2.5, okay, then it's worked now. So you can see in the area of 12, when the sum of the score is 12, the model kind of very sensitive area. Example, like we have 6 and 6. So it's accepted. How about it's 0? How about 5.9? It's not accepted, which is correct. Oh. Any example?
6.1.
6.1. Okay, so it's correct. Okay, it's pretty good. Anyone want to try? Any number?
Can you do score 110 and score 2 2.001?
Accepted. I think, yeah. So that is very sensitive case. You can see the model is almost go through the points 10, 2 here. So yeah, interesting thing, you can see our model is actually go through all of the points that sum to 12. See? 6, 6, 5, 7, 3, 9. It's like this line is kind of fit with the condition we set up. The 12, the boundary of pass or fail. What if we change the rules? So what if I change the rules? Okay, I put it 12 and no one classify, or there are a ton of free slot. Then I put it down, the condition a little bit. Now my data looks like this. So you can see here we have a ton of more green data points because our condition is now much easier. Let's see how our model now looks like. Bam, it's changed. The model is changed because the data it put in is also changed now. You can see the line here is not go through the 10, the 12 boundary anymore. And this is still accepted, yeah. But let's say 8 here or 7. Yeah, it's not accepted. So this is the powerful of machine learning. So the model don't need you to tell what it should do, or it's not fixed at a line. The line is very flexible based on the data you put in. It can change automatically, response to the data you put in. And this is a very powerful idea because now it's listened to the environment. It's listened to the flow of the data. It's streaming the model. Like example, dynamic pricing. Whenever the requirement of the graphs is high in the like 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., the score, the price of graph is also go higher. It responds with the environment. Or like the example of spam email now. So what kind of example we have when the data change, the model also change? Any idea?
The weather.
The weather.
Every day weather changes. Maybe it changes according to region, or sometimes it just changes significantly. So it's our models.
Yeah. Okay. So we just see a demo about the data affect your model. And yeah, like again, you clean data, you have better model.
But I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
We assume that all the data here is correct. So
you mean it's not real, or
because you change the rules, it just change the position of the line. When you change the rule from the maximum, the minimum point to pass it from 12 to 10, the line will move down.
no? When I change the condition, this data changes. This column changes. So this code is all about set up the value for the accepted column. And when I change the condition, this column changes. And so this is the plot, the diagram scattered plot of the 200 data point, and we will see more blue point than the red point because now we change the rules. And then we put the new data to fit to the model and retrain the model. Now the model like responds with the change, and we have another line, another model whenever we put in another data.
We have trained the model through the supervised machine learning and unsupervised machine learning.
So most of the time we will learn supervised learning. So supervised learning is you have a label, right? And unsupervised is unlabeled. So what is the label in this case? What is the label? It's accepted. It's a label. So if we change the label, our supervised model also changes, right? So basically, the principle of machine learning is so based on the data, if you try to find a pattern, the pattern of the data. So the pattern here is exactly, so this line is the pattern of the data, like the condition to split the red point and the blue point. in the best way. And okay, so we will have 5-minute break or no, 10-minute break. It's a little bit tight. We have a long, say, 4 hours lecture. So we'll see you 10 minutes later. If you have questions, just write on the temporary question.
Hey guys, I interposed a link to the electoral class in the Discord. You can go there and you verify register with Go to get access to the site. And you have to get the password as well.
Nên gọi